You know, the 2 weeks is only like a minimum. You can have longer to demo if you need to. All right. So again, okay, that's messed up. What in the world is going on there? No, seriously, like the screen, like down here with the controls, just like went all. It was not having a good time. It was saying essentially. The laptop, no, it should be auxiliary HDMI, assuming I actually plug in the auxiliary HDMI. Great. Yeah, would. Okay. So this is week 5, I believe. Yeah, so this is week 5, meaning that next week is week 6, which is when I like to give exam 1. Okay. So I will post the details about that exam because I'm also going to post details about 1051's exam today. So your exam will be on Tuesday, next Tuesday. It will be, so not the 14th, but the 21st, right? This is what I previously discussed with you, I believe, right? As a general and as a rule, right? If you have to meet it, if you cannot meet me at that time, you know, for whatever the reason, you are sick, you suddenly like have a flat tire and can't get to school, your transportation's all messed up, or you know, you got woken up at like 5 a.m. the day of the exam due to or 3 a.m. due to a family emergency, and suddenly, you know, it is not like the greatest time for you to take an exam because of that, let me know. You know, I will understand. I will very much understand that you know, the needing to like do that proctoring your exam an alternate time has become really easy because of Zoom. All I have to do is just make you share your screen, and that's about it. And then you take the exam and I watch you while I'm working on other stuff. It's made it very easy, you know, as opposed to having to coordinate when can we both be in and suddenly have to take a train and then take a train back. You know, it's part of the reason I try to do these office hours over Zoom. So again, under files, you'll be able to see the practice exam as well. I will send this out as an announcement with more information, but you should be able to see under the files on our Canvas for let's see, exam 1 practice and exam 1 practice solutions. These practice exams are much longer and much more difficult than what I actually would put on the exam. Also, they were designed for, so when I created these were pre-COVID, and what these were is that I made about twice as many questions as I need for the exam, and I put half of them into the practice exam, and then added a few more practice questions. And then as I traded out questions on the actual exam for new questions, I put the old questions into the practice exam. So this has gotten a lot longer because I like you know, because of just time things. So there's a number of questions here. There's a lot more questions here because I figure you'd like a lot more practice than not practice. But as you can see, there's a number of drawing questions. You know, here, write the sequence of commands, then draw those commands. Here it's given a list of number of integers, do something with it. What is the time complexity for this algorithm? You will get at least one question of this type on the exam, which is, here's a list, do some operations on that given list, okay? And then when you do so, you want to write the time complexity of the algorithm. Unless you've done something horribly wrong, or then your time will be either linear or quadratic based on the problem, okay? If you use some other data structures that like you read ahead or already know stuff, it's possible to get, you know, a different runtime than everybody else. So I will actually be looking at your code and looking at your runtime. Also, you feel free, because this will be actually not like a short thing like this, feel free to like explain differences if like your runtime will be different for an array list or a linked list. I won't penalize you if you don't, but I mean, like, that might be a great way to like earn an extra credit point or something. I do that sometimes for exceptional answers. So, and then here I have basically there are two types of linked list questions I give. One where you're basically using a linked list, which is a static method. And in those methods, you don't like this one, you assume you're given two lists that are linked lists, but you don't operate on the nodes is the idea. You don't have access to the nodes, the header tail, because you're given lists. This would exist outside the linked list class. Make sense? Right? So I try to be explicit about that. Like over here, this will be an instance method for linked lists. So you can use the node head tail references in the linked list in the object using this keyword. Number 17 is one of the better questions out there, but I can never claim credit for this one because it is a famous question. It is one of those ones that was a classic interview question. It is no longer a classic interview question because everybody knows that it has been used as an interview question. Where you where given a linked list, please reverse the linked list. And the reason this isn't an interview question is that once your interviewee gives you an answer, you can start delving down in complexity, which is like, okay, you did it like that, but now what if we like put limitations on what you can use, right? What if you can't use the add or remove method? Now, can you do it just with only manipulating the pointers of the linked list? Those kind of things. So this one is one of those ones that you can practice in multiple solutions, put restrictions on yourself and get good practice for that. Over here are the kind of big questions. You can tell how important a question I think a question is based off the number of points I have assigned it. The amount of space I have given to you does not correspond to the difficulty of the problem. 3 points, not that difficult, lots of space for formatting reasons. Okay. And then again, here's the practice question that I've already kind of mentioned to you about, which is 20 points. A list can be implemented in a number of ways. I will keep telling students that this question will be on the exam until students get it right, until basically everybody in the class gets it right. So for those of you, so if you get it wrong, think of it as taking one for the team for next semester, I guess. So these questions, again, you can find this PDF by going to our Canvas page and just by going down onto files. I made sure that y'all could see the files. This has all the PDFs and stuff that I've uploaded to this. It's a good resource. I'll be happy to answer questions about this. In general, if you want more practice, you can always look for like data structures practice exam, and you'll be able to find stuff from other schools. You might want to specify that like you are looking for linked list questions, or who knows, maybe ChatGPT could even provide some nice, data structure questions by asking it to write questions for an exam. Yeah, you'd be surprised how well that works. I've tried it. Not for this exam, but for like doing stuff for 1051, I'm like, ooh, this is nice. I can maybe pull this out for the turtle and for loop exam. So now with regards to what's allowed on the exam, did I show you the top portion of the exam? I believe I showed you the top portion of the exam in class where basically it says what the restrictions are, where you can use IntelliJ. Basically, you have open to every resource you could possibly imagine, except for like Googling the answer. Basically, if it's on, the only internet resources you can use are the ones, that you can reach from Canvas. Okay. Obviously, also, you can't use Discord during the exam because you can't communicate with other people. Similarly, other messaging services, obviously, you cannot communicate with other people during the exam because this is, a solo portion. And there will be a solo portion and a group portion. Again, if you have need an accommodation for that, if you need an accommodation because of the timing of the solo portion and immediately after the group portion follows, for students who need accommodation, there's a number of options, which is that you can start the solo portion, with DRS like earlier, like at 8-ish, giving you enough extended time to finish up the exam and then transition to taking the exam with the rest of the class. If that doesn't work, I can always proctor the solo portion like the evening before. And then you just go to your lab at 10:10 or whatever time I'll specify for the group portion. The group portion, I will be basically I will try to remix the exam. So give you similar questions, or if you had portion A on the solo exam, like if I have a 2-part question, like I'm very fond of 2-part questions where I say, write this function. And then I say, okay, now using this function, solve this problem. I'm very fond of that. And in part B, you get to assume that your part A worked. That's a caveat. You get to assume that. So that's one thing I can move over. I can give slightly different questions for that. This has generally been a good experience. And again, there's kind of no risk involved for you, which is that, you can't score lower, but you can score higher, And again, all these details will be shot out in an announcement. I'm hoping to do that tonight. And on the Monday before, I will go over the practice exam. I will be looking at the due dates to figure out when the maze kind of stuff is going to be due, because of course I've given you a bit longer to do the Josephus and solitaire encryption, right? That's due like at the end of this week, I believe, right? Yep. And of course, if that is unreasonable, please let me know, because what is reasonable and what's not reasonable depends not just on, this class, but all the other classes that are going on and the other studying you do, because this is typically when exams can start to happen. All right. Anything else? All right. As I mentioned, I want to focus on making sure that people are making progress over demoing today. I'll be happy to take demos once I'm pretty clear that people have, are pretty solid on what on their understanding of it. All right. Let me check in with people on Zoom first.